So this class is, let's see, so far you guys have done Mongo and Mongoose, right? Right. And so while you were doing Mongoose, you were sort of skirting around this whole node thing. And there was a lot of like sort of, well, we'll get to this later. We're just going to kind of touch on it for right now. So now we're not touching on it anymore. Now we're like really getting into it. So let's see. The goal for this class is not going to be for you guys to be experts in the mean stack and everything, but to have an idea of sort of how it all fits together. So it's going to be one of my new favorite kinds of classes where you guys just do stuff and I get to just sort of hang out up here and then occasionally take questions. No, I'm just kidding. I really like doing it because like it is going to be like that, but I really like it because, I don't know, I feel like it's a good sort of balance of things. Anyway, so the E in mean is express, and express runs on top of node. So you guys might have noticed when you were starting up your Rails apps back in the day that when you were first doing Rails S, it would say something like something about WebBrick or WeBrick or something. You may have seen that. So that's sort of a very basic server written in Ruby.
All right? I was trying to do quiet.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So that's a very basic server written in Ruby. Pretty much all it does is it can just read files and then write files. Node is the same thing in JavaScript. Plain old front-end JavaScript, like we've been using so far, can't write files. It can sort of read files if you do an AJAX request, but it's a little bit more complicated. There's no just standard file in, definitely no file out. So Node is just a way of using JavaScript to take files and output files. Express takes Node and it extends it and it focuses it to be an actual web server. So it's not just taking files in and putting files out anymore. Now it's taking requests in and it's putting responses out. So now it can field requests from other computers, which is still sort of the same idea, taking some files in and then putting some files out, but it's focused to be specifically web stuff. So Node is to Express like WebBrick is to Rails. So I say that because when we do things in this, we're not really doing stuff with Node. We're sort of dancing around on top of Node, but we're not really doing stuff with Node per se. So let's see. Yeah, first question here. Why does Express exist? Why not just use Rails or Django or PHP or something else? Why use Express? Nara? Yeah, that's exactly right. Some people prefer JavaScript, some people prefer Rails, whatever. One of the big selling points of Express is that, hey, you're doing JavaScript on the front end anyway, why not do it on the back end as well? And then you only have one language to worry about. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, Nara?
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Say what? You don't like JavaScript?
Oh, no. I'd rather do Rails.
Too bad. So that's really pretty much it, is that it's just being able to do JavaScript on the front and back. Beyond that, I would say an advantage of Express is that it's extremely lightweight. So when you do Rails new, you get about 8 million files. There is no Express new. You create an index.js file that's completely blank, and then you build everything from scratch. So that's pretty different. If you took the Sinatra mini lesson a while ago, it's basically the JavaScript equivalent of Sinatra. So you don't get anything out of the box. We're doing everything from the ground up. With that, so because Rails gives you a million files right off the bat, Rails is very picky about what those files are called. You all had those errors where it was like, oh, you named your model file plural, and so now your entire app is broken. Express doesn't care what your files are called, where they're put. You can have as many files, Express files, as you want. You can also do everything just in one file if you want. Totally doesn't matter. So Express is extremely small, lightweight, and customizable. Which sounds really good, but when you're used to all the scaffolding of Rails, that can be a little bit tricky. So hopefully by the end of today, again, you'll be able to see how all these different pieces we have all fit together. Let's see. So yeah, again, the goal of this class, we're going to be going through the process of creating a men app. So no A in there. There's no Angular. But we'll be doing the men part of it anyway. Or not to be sexist or anything. It's just there wasn't really, nem doesn't mean anything, and there wasn't anything else that spelled anything. So we're calling it men. Yeah, so you're not expected to get everything. You're not expected to be Rails Express experts by the end of this class. Expressperts. But just to have an idea of how all the pieces fit together. Okay, so keep in mind this is JavaScript, so it's very picky about punctuation. So if you get an error, don't assume that like your entire understanding of programming is flawed. That's totally not the case. It just means you misspelled something like 9 times out of 10, or you forgot a comma or something. So don't stress. An error probably just means you forgot a comma, so just breathe. And if you fall behind, tilt your screen down. Don't worry about your code, and then we can fix it later on. So this class, we're going to be using an app called When President, and you can see it here. All right, so it's a very simple app. You log in with Twitter. So let me do that right now. Up until about 30 minutes ago, this had 3 lines of CSS, and now it has a bit more. So it may still be ugly, but at least it has something now. And so whenever you sign in, you are automatically made a candidate for presidency of the United States. So here I am. Here I am. Oh no, did I break it? No, I didn't. Okay, cool. And so I'll say I'm running for president in 2024. And I can endorse myself for president. Actually, I don't think I can. I think I can only do it Oh wait, no, I just did it. It's just being a little slow. And I can add some positions for my platform. I like turtles. And then I like more turtles. I don't know. And then if I want, I can delete those. And I can also concede, which means it deletes my account. So this is really sort of a one model app here, which is candidates. So everyone who signs up automatically becomes a candidate. So there's that. And let's see. That's pretty much it. So it's going to be the same format again, where it's all this stuff. And so I'm going to code a bit, then I'm going to ask you guys to catch up. I'll take any questions, and we'll keep on trucking. So any questions before I start, or before we start? Cool. All right, so to begin, please follow these steps right here. So it's just get clone, blah, 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 get checkout, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to slide this out so y'all have it. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to follow those exact same steps up here. And I'm just going to copy and paste. You don't need to fork it. No, you don't need to fork it. I'm just asking you to follow these 4 steps right here. And when you're done, you should be left with a folder that has a .git folder and a README inside it, and that's it. Anyone having any ish cloning down?
It's the same file that was there when we got the Mongo set up instructions on Thursday, right? Because that pulled when the president's down there.
Could you pull it down again in a new location? Just because I've been making some changes, like adding that CSS and everything, and so I just want to make sure everything's current. Well, actually, you know what, Rob? If you can do this step, if you can do this get checkout efab85b, if you can do that, then you're fine. All right, so this first step I'm going to do, and then I'm going to ask you guys to do it. Actually, no, I'll just do the first 2 steps. So again, as I'm doing this, I would encourage you to tilt down your screens or whatever, just so you don't get hung up on errors. I really want you to pay attention to what I'm doing and come up with whatever questions you have. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is npm init. And it starts asking me all of these questions. So, important thing number 1, when it asks you all these questions, you can just hold down the return key and just keep on going. You don't even really need to answer those questions. If you hold down return, it's the same thing as saying yes. And it's just asking you stuff about sort of setting up your app. So when it asks you the questions, just hold down return and you'll be good to go. The end result of that is this package.json file that looks like this. So I did npm init and I ended up with this package.json file. First question, what is npm? Mohammed? What is it?
It's basically the equivalent of the thing that handles up gems in Rails.
Yeah, anyone remember what that was?
Ruby gems.
Yeah, Ruby gems. What was we would do something install. Bundle install. Yeah, it's just like a bundle in Ruby. So npm is the exact same thing. It just downloads stuff. They're just not called gems anymore. They're called packages or modules. Packages, hence Node Package Manager. So that's what npm is. And this is going to be the first step whenever you create a new app. It's going to be npm init. And then it asks you those questions, and it creates this package.json. I'm going to do the second step, which is npm install -- save express. Okay. So now, two things have changed. One is Express has been added in here, in this little dependencies thing. And that happened because I did npm install save. If you don't do save, it's not going to add it to that package.json. So this is very important. I would say anytime you do npm install anything, you want -- save. So for npm, really you're only going to be writing two commands. It's going to be npm init, okay, three commands. npm init, npm install, or npm install -- save, whatever. You're probably not going to do npm whatever without that -- save. And again, that -- save just adds it to this package.json. So why is that important, having this thing added to package.json? Why do I care? Patrick?
I think it's important so that if anyone else were to use your app, they could just do npm install instead of having to install each different.
Yep, that's exactly right. So when someone downloads something with a package.json, they can just write npm install, just like bundle install, and it'll go through that package.json and install all of those dependencies for you. So that's why that -- save is important. If it's not in package.json, they're not going to know about it until they start getting errors saying, hey, couldn't find this package. Anissa? Yes. Karen?
What else works with npm? Like, does mongoose or what,
Yep.
what else would be beside that -- save?
Oh, so you're going to see a lot of things over the course of this class. Express, Mongoose, lots of other things are going to be -- save. Okay, and then when you do install something, it goes into this node modules folder, this guy right here. And notice that there is a lot of stuff in there already. When I installed Express, well, I erased it, but I got a whole bunch of text that was showing me all of the different things that Express also needs, all of Express's own dependencies. And so those have all been installed into this node modules folder. This is totally different from how Bundle does things in Ruby. When you install something in Ruby, it installs it into sort of a magical secret place on your computer. When you do npm install, it creates this node modules folder and it puts everything in there. So it's local to that particular folder that you're working in. One of the first things to do whenever you set up a new Node app is to create a gitignore file if you don't already have it, and put node modules inside it. Where did that file go? Oh, I put it in here. There we go. And this is because you never want to push up your node modules because it's sort of redundant. All you really need to push up is the package.json, and then whenever someone does npm install, they're going to download all those things anyway and get the same node modules folder. If you push up node modules, you're getting a whole bunch of stuff, and it makes your commits much, much bigger. So just git ignore that node modules file so that other people don't get it. You don't need to push up all of your node modules.
What did you put inside of the
Inside
git ignore?
git ignore, I did node modules /star. I think that's in here. Oh, maybe it's not, so I'm glad you asked me that. Yep, so this node modules /star thing. I'll put that up here as well. So git ignore, and then node modules /star.
What is this one started?
That-
Just everything in the node modules directory.
Exactly. Yep. So the star is everything. Okay, cool. You should never need to do anything inside this node modules folder. So you should never need to go into it for any reason. You should never need to go into this .git folder. Like we taught you that back in week 1. Same thing with node modules. You never need to do anything inside that node modules folder. It's just like how you never need to go into the AngularJS source code. Or, I mean, if you do, God love you. I don't know why you would. Okay.
Question, if you do the npm install save express and you don't get that folder right there, does
Some-
it mean you skipped something or you're not in the right directory?
It just means something went wrong, so call someone over to take a look.
We're not supposed to be coding along.
Okay, cool. So that's the first step, this stuff. And then the second step is going to be getting this to actually run. So by default, Express looks for a file called index.js. That's sort of the main file it looks for. You can name it anything you want, but by default, it looks for index.js. I'm going to set it up real quick. Okay, first thing, where have we seen this require word before? John? Yeah, exactly. What did it do?
Just kind of like imports gems or libraries.
Exactly. Same thing here. So require does the exact same thing in JavaScript. This is a standard in most programming languages, I say, to call it require. And it's going to look around inside this node modules folder for a folder called Express. And there it is. If I don't have an Express folder, it's going to throw an error at me because I'm requiring it. Right?
How does it know to look in the node modules folder?
Because by default, it's called node modules, and so that's just something built right into Express, that it knows to look in the node modules folder. If you rename this folder to something else, I don't know, shit's gonna fly, unless you like rename everything else too. Okay, so the next step is going to be var app equals express parentheses. I'm gonna come back to this in a second. Also here in like my sample code, you'll notice that I like tab this over a whole bunch, which looks kind of stupid. I just like to have all my equal signs vertically aligned, so it doesn't do anything. It's just me being anal retentive. And then the last two things, I'll talk about what these do in just a minute. Res send hello world. And then the last thing, app.listen 3001 function. Okay, cool. Who wants to take a guess at whether or not you have to put console.log I'm alive in here? Yeah, no, of course you don't have to do that. And I'll show you what that does in just a minute. But this is a complete Express app. So I'm done. This is a finished Express app. So now I'm going to show it to you. To do it, I'm going to type nodemon. The jury is still out on whether this is nodemon or nodedaemon. I like to say nodemon because it goes a little faster, I guess. And I type that, I get I'm alive. So this is all that console log does, is it's just something that prints out when you first start up your app. I just like to have it there just to, I don't know, it's comforting. Okay, so now it's started. Any guesses as to where I would go in my browser to see my app, right?
Localhost 3001.
Exactly, localhost 3001. This could be anything you want. I'm just using 3001 instead of 3000 because usually I have Rails or something running on 3000. So I just use a different one. But this could be any number you want. If I go to localhost 3001, I should see Hello World. And there it is. Cool. So here is my magical Express app. Yeah, Naran.
I think you're going to touch on it, but two questions. Why do you have to have
express. And
I'll get to that. Let me go through the other things I wanted to talk about first, and then I'll take questions. So the first question I have is, what is this slash right there? Yeah, Brendan. Yeah, exactly. So if I change this to Brendan, where would I have to go? Well, now I get this error right here. So where would I have to go in my browser in order to activate that route? Exactly. /Brendan. There we go. And there's my hello world. So this is the path that you're going to. Slash is that's just the standard starter route. Where does that get come from? What does that get mean? Right?
is that the HTTP request?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm whenever someone makes a GET request to slash, do whatever is in here. So what are some of the other kinds of requests we've seen? Post, put, patch, delete, we've seen those. So this is how you do it for GET requests. That is, whenever someone types this into their browser, this stuff should happen in here. What do rec and res stand for?
Request and response.
Yeah, exactly. Request and response. So rec represents all of the data that's coming in. Res represents all of the data that's going out. So in this case, I'm not really doing anything with the data coming in, but the data going out is just the words "hello world." If I wanted to, I could put some HTML in here, and that would probably work just fine. Yep, there we go. So now it's HTML. But yeah, so I'm just printing some words out on the screen.
I didn't know to put it, I rendered it to HTML, to valid HTML in the first place.
This isn't valid HTML. Yep, this is just the words "hello world." That's it. If I put that H1 back in here, it's still not valid HTML. Like, all it is just this H1. So it's not going to be valid HTML for a while yet. Yeah, Chrome is helping me out. Yeah, let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. I know I haven't gotten to the express parentheses thing yet. And you can put whatever you want in here. So I can do like console.log, sup, geez. And then whenever I go to that root, I'm going to see sup geez in here. So whenever I refresh, it's popping back up. So you can do anything you want in here. Let's see. One more thing is that you don't have to call these rec and res. It's just sort of convention. You could call these request and response if you want. It's just more to write. You could call these fruit bat and banana if you want. But now I don't even remember what they mean anymore. So rec and res is just sort of convention. Let's see. So there's that. And the last thing is talking about why Express has parentheses after it. So this isn't super relevant to what we're doing right now, but it is very important to Express and Node as a whole. So you can use this require thing to load modules from your Node modules folder, but you can also use it to load other files. So if I put hello.js in here, I'm going to do module.exports equals banana patch. And then I'm going to say var some text equals require dot slash hello. And now down here, I'm going to do res send some text. I think I should see banana patch in here now. And I do. There we go. So, hold up. So there are two differences between these two requires. This one does not have a dot slash. This one does have a dot slash. Check out what happens if I remove the dot slash from this one. It's going to tell me, cannot find module hello. So if it doesn't have a dot slash, it's going to look around inside that Node modules folder for something called hello. If you do have a dot slash in front of it, then it's just going to look for a file called hello. And notice that I'm not putting hello.js at the end of it. Express just assumes that you're going to be loading a JavaScript file, a JS file. So it just adds that onto the end for you. So without dot slash, it looks in Node modules. With dot slash, it just looks for a file. Okay, so that's how require works. So that's sort of the rule of require. I haven't talked about this module.exports thing, but I'll get to that. Mohammed?
Can you load HTML files?
Mm.
Require HTML?
Probably, but we're not going to. We're going to do that a different way.
Why does it look at those modules as a default?
Because it's just standard. It's like how, bundle looks inside something called gem file by default. That's just standard. Yeah, Nara?
So is that what the express parentheses is for?
I haven't gotten to that yet.
And the dot send, is that an express method?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, if I console.log res, you can see all sorts of things attached to it. So this is what res looks like. It's got a whole bunch of stuff on it. And one of these things is that .send method. But yeah, same thing if I console.log rec, I'm going to see a whole bunch of stuff. Console.log in this is just like puts in Rails. If you console.log something, the user is not going to see it. It's just going to show up in your terminal. Alexa?
Would it work if you did .js with the require?
Yes, it would.
You just don't need it.
Yep, you just don't need it. It's just more than you need to write. So it works perfectly fine. Okay, so that's require. Sort of the opposite of require is this module.exports. I really don't like the fact that it's called module.exports because that sounds really weird. But basically it just says, hey, what do you want, when someone requires this file, what do you want them to get? So if I do, I don't know, var name equals Batman, I'm still just gonna get banana patch out of this thing. It's still banana patch. Like this code is being executed. If I put console.log name in here, I'm still gonna see Batman, but it's saying what actually comes out of this file is just this particular thing right here. So module.exports, it's sort of like return for a file. It's saying, what do you want to come out of this file when someone requires it? You can only have one module.exports per file, in the same way that you can only have one return statement per function. Only one module.exports. Module.exports can be anything. So it can be a string, it can be a number, 32. And now if I go here, I should see, oh, I see nothing. Oh, because it thinks I'm trying to send a status. Okay, fine, bad example. Let me do something else. It can also be a function. Console.log hello. And so now instead of, well, it's not text anymore. I'm going to change this back to hello world. I'm going to say var hello equals require hello. Okay, so what am I getting back when I require this hello file? What kind of JavaScript data type thing am I getting? What's being exported out of here? A function, exactly. So hello is now a function. Hello is just whatever was exported out of there. Hello is a function. So I could call that function just by putting parentheses after it. So now that I've done that, I should see hello showing up in here. There it is. So I can also do hello Nairon in here, and I'll see hello Nairon. So hello is just whatever happened to be inside that JavaScript file. It's just as if I were to write var hello equals and then just copied and pasted all this stuff. It's exactly like that. It's just as if I were to copy and paste it. So from that, we can deduce that the thing that's being module.exported from Express is what? Exactly, is a function. So whatever we're getting out of this Express module must also be a function because we're putting these parentheses after it. Nicely done. Nara?
Since you can export it and use it in that file, why not just put the whole export, the whole thing in one function so you can call it in the main file?
Yeah, you can do that. That's fine. Okay, other questions about that part? Most important things there are module.exports is how you send stuff out. Require is how you get that in, whatever was exported. The very last thing I want to talk about is why we're using NodeMon, just to begin with. So I'm going to change this to, I don't know, Bipin's sweater is cool. And so now if I refresh this page, I see Bipin's sweater is cool. Check out what happens if I just do node. well, that happens. Okay, fine. If I do node index.js, yeah, I'm alive. This is still working, but now I'm going to change this to Pippin sweater is not cool. Just kidding, it is. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to refresh this page, but it's still showing me what I had before. So the thing is that whenever you make a change to your server file, you have to restart your server for those changes to show up to the user. So if you're just using regular old Node, it's not going to restart unless you tell it to stop and then restart, and there, now I can see that. Having to quit and restart all the time would get really annoying. So instead, we can use this thing called NodeMon, which just automatically detects whenever you make changes to a file, and it restarts for you. So there, it'll just say Pippin, and now I can refresh. There we go. And check out what happens if I change this back to hello world. I'm going to save, and you can see it's restarting due to changes, and it's firing back up. So NodeMon just watches for changes, watches for you saving a file, and then automatically restarts. So you shouldn't really need to worry about anything there. The only catch is that if you save and then refresh really quickly, you're going to get an error, just like I did right there, because I caught it right in the middle of restarting. So you save, wait for a second, and then refresh, and then you're good to go. All right, so that's it for me talking about stuff. Before you guys start, any questions? Okay, cool. So just these first two steps, you're just trying to get to exactly where I am here with hello world showing up on the board. And I'm going to give you, or showing up in your browser, excuse me. I'm going to give